Greetings, Dr. Jeffrey Scott here. This is my Market MRI Pro update for Tuesday, 11/11/2025. We had a rotation day today. Healthcare really led and tech lagged. And the question has to be, is the AI complex at risk? And when I say AI complex, I'm talking chips. Micron was down. NVIDIA was down. I'm talking nuclear, OKLO down after earnings. I'm talking utilities, CEG. I'm talking about Amphenol and other electric providers. Talking Corning, optical fibers. And the list goes on and on. Vertiv, cooling. Frito, also involved in cooling. And then you have the construction companies. So my question for today is that complex at risk? It certainly has been leading the markets. Um, and we shall see. Again, Jeffrey Scott is my name, and Market MRI Pro at gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me. And my website's marketmripro.com, and my Google group is called Top Down Trader. All right. As always, the session's for educational purposes only. Anything I say should be taken in the spirit of education, not investment advice. I'm a physician, and I carry none of the licenses that would be necessary for me to help you manage your money or tell you what to buy and sell. I do these videos to demonstrate how I use my tools in top-down analysis to cut my time spent each night down to 20 to 30 minutes instead of hours. Trading involves risk. You are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. I'm the owner and intend to buy or sell any stock mentioned in this report. Trading stocks and options should be considered risky. You should always consult with your financial advisor. And I have tools in multiple platforms, but I trade the same way in all of them. Why would you join my Google group? Because I travel a lot, and when I travel with my wife, she doesn't let me make noise at night, so that means I just basically do mine as a written blog with cutting and pasting pictures, and I post it on the Google Groups group. Another reason is I give you discounts on my tools. It's a great way to interact, and I don't keep a mailing list. It's the only way I communicate. So it's free. Just go to Google Groups, put your Google ID in, go to all groups, look for Top Down Trader, and sign up. Know your news and earnings. Well, Wednesday is a day of Fed heads, and expect to see everything from nothing to 25 basis points. Is Mirren speaking? I guess he's probably the only one. Yep, Stephen Mirren at 12:30. He'll throw in 50 basis points. Um, So I think they'll be all over the place. Will that impact the markets? I don't think so. I think the markets know that right now it's a mess, that we don't know how much the economy has slowed down. We don't know what inflation's doing. We do have a good sense that jobless numbers are worse, and that if the Supreme Court reverses the tariffs, what does that mean? So lots of stuff that we don't know. Thursday, there's a lot of data we won't get, although there is talk that the House will vote on Wednesday to accept the Senate deal, and then things will open up Wednesday night or Thursday. I don't know how long it takes to get the data. So one of my holdings, C, which has been just a great stock, laid an egg at earnings. That hurt a little bit. Oklo, which I'm out, traded off some after their earnings tonight. Right now, futures are up a little bit, and we'll see what they are in the morning. If we take a look at what else is coming out tomorrow, you could see Circle in the morning. That'll be interesting to see. Cisco in the afternoon. I remember when they used to always beat by a penny or two. Grail, spin off from Illumina. The big one that we're waiting for is until next week, and that's on the 19th, and that will be NVIDIA. And that may be when the AI trade is rekindled or it dies. It's a judgment call to hold stocks over earnings dates. It's bad judgment to not know when your stock's earnings date is scheduled. And no, I don't think the AI trade's going to die. Leaders, after a big move yesterday on Monday pulled back a little bit, sort of a churning day. Um, I'm not sure there's anything negative by what we saw. We'll take a look at the markets. And again, it may just be one day of rotation and we'll be fine, but let's see what we got. All right, more information about how I trade, my tools, anything I can help you with, feel free to email me at marketmripro@gmail.com, coding at marketmripro.com. If you have any issue with the program, consider joining the top-down trader group. And then the other piece is marketmripro.com is my website. A couple other things. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and then hit the alarm so you get notified. Even better, join the Top Down Trader. I'll tell you every night when I post them and give you the link. And then I guess if you like it, hit the up thumb. If not, down thumb. Not too many of those, fortunately. And either email me or put your remarks in the remarks section on YouTube. All right, so I start off here. It was a good day for some. Diamonds were up 1%. Spider was up 0.23. Russell was up 0.09. The laggard all day was the Qs, but it finished at the upper part of its range at minus 0.27. So really, you look at that, it's kind of a flat looking day, but it wasn't flat for everything. The dollar was down a little bit, 0.14%, and Bitcoin took another dive down 3%. If you look at the ranges, you could see most things were pretty good except for Bitcoin, which really closed at the bottom of its range. New high, new lows. The new lows are starting to go away. The new highs are starting to increase. And the new highs minus new lows at 52 weeks are back to being positive. If we look at participation, you could see 63% of the S&P 1500 were up, 51% of the NASDAQ, and 64% of the NYSE. Not massive when you get an all-in everything up day, but still a pretty impressive day. If you look at the S&P 500 sectors, you can see healthcare really kicked up 2.31, 1% greater than staples, and energy, which are both up 1.31, followed by real estate and materials. Rotation into the defensive. The laggard was technology, which was the only thing down, and it was down 0.85. If we look at themes, biotech led the way up 3.56. You could see they were talking about it today on CNBC. Is biotech back? Well, gee, it's been back for 2 months. It's up 22.75%. Genomics, biotech, gas exploration, Norway, gold, retail, home construction, cloud computing, Southeast Asia were all leaders. And if we want to see what was lagging in the market, it was cannabis, big deal, uranium, blockchain, semiconductors, clean tech, solar, metals and mining, um, intelligence, data centers, copper, and so on and so forth. So it was a rotation. The things that have been leading were the laggards. Look at some of these 2 month performances on the laggards today. All right, so let's take a look at the timing model on the weekly. I will start with the daily here. You can see that we did flip the diamonds to a buy signal today. That's good to see. You can see the buy signal popped up here. We're still in a sell signal, although we're above the WMA on the Qs, above the WMA on the spiders, and getting close on the Russell. We still have to flip the bongos. They take a little while. One thing is fast, one thing is slow, and that seems to balance each other out. On the weekly model, we're still in the uptrends. All of these on the weekly are looking great. So pull back an uptrend, resolving, perhaps. We'll wait and see. If we look at the index ETFs, if you have the product, you'll notice some things are different. Some things underneath, like the hamburger menu here, as some people like to call it. Just made some changes. This release will go out in the next day or so. I'm trying to break it, and if I don't break it, then you'll get to have your chances. So here's the spiders, beautiful uptrend in the middle of the channel. That's good to see. Seasonality is its friend. above the 50, which is nice to see, and well above the 200, above the 17. The 50 was support. Nothing here looks nefarious. I'd expect this to go higher. If we look at the Qs, pull back to the 50 as we thought they might. The big bounce on Monday. If you look at Tuesday, kind of a nothing burger, an inside bar on lower volume. Not something that I would make a big deal of, and I don't think it destroys the narrative from last night, which is markets seem to want to go higher and probably go to new highs before the year end. I'm not as bullish about next year, but right now I'm feeling pretty good about the US markets. If we look at the diamonds, again, right about to attack old highs. And again, this is one that got the buy signal today. And you can see the daily bongo resolve blue. Strong seasonality. I mean, the story is good all over. If there's one thing I don't like, the volume today was light. But since the markets didn't do anything, I don't think that's a big problem. And even for the Qs, which were the negative one on low volume, less important. The Russell's the laggard, and it's bouncing here on the 50. Notice the seasonality here is actually a little flatter in the beginning of November, and then it turns higher. So maybe it's just acting at seasonality, but it's above the 50, not extended, coming out of a squeeze. Nothing nefarious there either. If we look at volatility today, we could see continuing to drop, which is great. Now it's getting to the 50, which could be a little resistance, but a breakdown below that would be nice to see. Nothing bad there. And then you can see the dollar here is, I'll blow it up. The dollar is pulling back some from its little run up. And even though it looks like a big run, when you look at where it came from, it's still well off the highs. We'll see if this 17 doesn't provide some support. So dollar down. Let's take a look at commodities. Gold and silver are back and running again. We talked about in the last 2 days is maybe time to go back in. You could see a nice move up on silver, on gold today, up 0.39%, taking out the 17 the last 2 days. And on silver, you could see it outperformed yesterday. And what did it do in the session? It looks like it probably outperformed again 1.44. These guys did a nice little pullback, retest, and look like they're going higher. Looking at oil back into the 50 and the 200, this has been resistance. Natural gas is continuing its run up. If we look at the 10-year and the 30-year, let's see how they did in the markets. Is that on the 11th, up 0.29 and up 0.21. Inside bars after the drop yesterday. Again, nothing too nefarious. So look, rates are down over the last several days. The dollar is down. Um, the shutdown is ending. China is de-escalated a bit. The tariffs are about to be ruled on by the Supreme Court. I think there's a lot of positive headwinds coming into the market. If we look at the buckets, I'm going to call them neutral. They're interesting. Stocks below the Bollinger Bands, the white one went down everywhere. Stocks above the Bollinger Bands are starting to increase, but not to a nefarious level. And there's more stocks in the red in the salmon than there are in the green. So a little bit less than neutral, but pretty neutral looking. No signal. Market breadth, you can see a strong move in the NYSE, and look how close we are to all-time highs on the NYSE. In fact, the NYSE is even moving faster than the NASDAQ, which had that inside bar today. Stocks above the various moving averages have turned up. That's good to see. Volume is low. And you can see today that new high, new lows, AD lines, and up-down volumes were all positive except on the NASDAQ, the up-down volume was slightly negative and no new signals down here. When I looked at the market breadth, found it remarkable the breadth thrust that we've seen here in the S&P 1500 over the last several market trading days. Nothing is overbought, but you could see AD lines have turned up. Stocks above the moving averages have turned up, RSIs. and the 13-week new high, new lows. So the markets have definitely improved. When we look at ratio charts on a day when we have clear market rotation, they're going to be a little bit a little harder to interpret. It's really easy when you see this bar here. But look, tech is rotating out. If you don't believe it, here it is. Communications already rotated out. Energy, trying. Staples, a little bit. Not much on discretionary. Healthcare has been the big leader. As I go through and I look around, it's healthcare and it's energy. Those are the ones that seem to be making hay right now. If we go into the JAS layout and did a little work with Praveen last night to fix the impulse list, which has dropped down to 3,200, but it's still there today. That is weird. Should be closer to 3,800, so we must have another data feed issue, and I'll work with coding at Market MRI Pro when I get done. Let's just go into the top down, which takes all those stocks, puts them into industry groups. If we look at one-day performance, we got healthcare, real estate, and energy. Let's take those three. Here are the industry groups in those three. Let's look at one-day performance here, and let's take the top 10. Industrial REITs, oil, 3, 4, 5. Now these are the top 10. Now if I go in here and I do my drop down and let's take a look at, I want to move these up to the top because I use them all the time. So let's make that a favorite, make that a favorite. All right. So let's put the $5 and 500,000 filter on it, and I'm down to 297. Let's rank them. Let's put the pullback and uptrend on them. Okay. And now let us rank them by up down. Let's see what we got. TBPH, Theravance Biopharma. Wow. We saw this thing here. Nope, I didn't take it. This was another piece. Look at this. My two blue dots in a squeeze. Ah, what a great symbol. And then, not surprisingly, a little bit of a flag and a gigantic breakout today. Wow. Was it on news or earnings? It was on earnings. Look at that surprise. Growth, revenue up. Not much in the way of revenue, but earnings move. 21 cents coming in versus 5%, 5-cent loss. This might be one to take a look at. Let's see what the newsman said about it today. Oops. Non-GAAP profitability on track for lucrative milestone. Beats estimates. Rising collaboration income from Viatris. Well, that looks interesting. So I might want to watch that one. What's the SRDX? Too low in the pattern. Side bone. Don't. And I'll just go back and I'll look at these and see if anything has a pattern that I like. Denali, again, it's one of these biotechs that doesn't make any money, but it's in a bit of an uptrend, had a big move today. Zymeworks rather. You notice every one of these is a biotech company. So what does that tell you about biotech and pharma right now? Here's Pfizer. It tells me I might want to buy biotech. Here's how I like to buy biotech, LABU. I don't have as much individual company risk. Pull back and a breakout. And I'll be looking at LABU as one of the things that I want to look at tomorrow. I've learned the hard way that sometimes it's easier to win biotechs in favor by the ETF that goes up the most, which is LABU. When biotech is selling off, either be out or be short LABU or long LABD. I've mentioned it before. I am in healthcare. I know something about a lot of these companies, and I do trade them, but you have to know what you're doing because it's not just for earnings reports. It's surprise releases of data. When are the major meetings that data will be presented? Obviously, we love them because they're buyout candidates. We hate them when their drugs fail. So there's a lot of volatility opportunities. For example, VKTX, I think, is Viking. This is a stock that I've liked a lot. They have an oral GP1 and everything looked great on it, but you can see even with great stories, the stocks sell off. So you have to be careful. And that's why sometimes either buying the big guys, one of the big guys is Gilead. Gilead's in a nice uptrend. It makes money. This company doesn't get the respect it deserves. It's the one that pretty much, if you can use the word cure on HIV, which I don't think you can, but it's the one that has made HIV less deadly. They've also cured hepatitis C. It's just a fantastic science company. So I like biotech here, and you could see the numbers that we saw. All right, let's go into the impulse view and take some bottoms up approach. So in the bottoms up approach, let's kill those filters. There you go. And let's go for my favorite two, A plus. Not too many, and we've got some healthcare stocks. Not a big surprise. Apogee is used to be a name of a gaming company, but now it's a name of a drug company. Apogee Therapeutics, a big breakout here. You have to read the news and you have to understand why 4 clinical data readouts in 26, asthma. All right, you have to read through it. Um, but each of those readouts in itself is risky. Just look at a weekly on this over the longer term, and you could see the volatility in something like this where it's been up here before and then it pulls back. Not to say it's not going to go up to the moon, but that's you have to know with these biotechs what you're getting. Speaking of what you're getting, Biotech, one of the mRNA companies, has been moving. These guys like mRNA, hopefully banked a lot of money during the COVID crisis and have used it to buy things. I know both of them have. Um, Immunome is one that's looked good of late, and this one looks really interesting. It's a $19 stock, no revenue or nominal revenue, no earnings. Earnings are out, which is good. And again, I love the news feature. I can read about it, targeted, best in class targeted cancer therapies. Um, just looking at some of the news. This one looks interesting. So this might be one to look at. IMNM, KYMR, Chimera Therapeutics, another biotech company. Obviously, something happened here. I don't know if it's results or in earnings. They don't make money, so it's hard to believe it's earnings. Although during an earnings call, they can use it to make announcements. Now, I don't know how far my news goes back. That would be sometime in early September. Chimera overcomes Sanofi deal update. Whatever that means, that doesn't sound good. Advances its protein degradation profile with new Sanofi and Gilead deals. Well, that might be what drove it here. Again, something perhaps worth reading. PCVX, uh, a beaten up biotech. I don't like that gap down. PHAT, SNY, Sanofi, one of the bigger companies out there. Does it make you wonder about what's going on with biotech when our biggest bullish scan, all it shows is biotech? If we look at a little bit different trade, ACLX, healthcare, I believe. Yep. Now, if you don't know what it does, you highlight here and you go over the name and you just hover. Biotech company, shocker. Okay. This one, nice uptrend sideways move, maybe basing, getting ready to go again. Agios, here's Biotech again, CRNX, Prenetics. Here's Gilead, we talked about. Immunum again. Jazz is another one that has drugs on the market. Chimera. Um, one thing to say, LABU. We'll see you tomorrow. And by the way, this is education to show you how I got to LABU. I'm not telling you to buy LABU. I don't know what it's going to do. Use your own knowledge and your own tools to make that decision. But as I do my top-down analysis, everything's coming up biotech.